So how do we even start this? Alright, so I'm Justin.
I'm Nick. We finally started a YouTube channel. Took us a little while, but bear with us as we learn how to do this. We got a lot of questions from our Instagram picture that we took, and we picked a couple of them that we're gonna go through.
First, really good question that a ton of you asked, obviously, is how did we meet?
I like the story.
I think it's a little cliche, I guess. So
I went into a CrossFit workout and there was women everywhere. And then there was Justin. It was like 6 in the morning and it was a partner workout. So they paired us together because we were doing similar weights, and that's how I first met him. We started off as friends and just hanging out.
Yeah, and I mean, we would go to breakfast together. We would get up early and do yoga together, which was awful for me.
He's not a morning person.
Tell you, there's a horribly embarrassing story.
But he did it for me anyway. So we went to yoga at like 6 in the morning, but we laid down on the mats and he fell asleep right next to me. And the class started and I didn't wake him up.
I slept, one, as Nick said, I'm not a morning person, so I was dead tired. And two, along with not waking me up, I was snoring while people were trying to do hot yoga.
I just couldn't resist. I thought it was hilarious.
I was a little pissed, to be honest. One thing led to another. It was kind of like a gradual change over time. You know, we just started off as friends, and we don't even really know our anniversary because it was so gradual. We kind of just picked November 1st because it's easy. Another question that got asked a lot, and I'm kind of going to defer to Nick on this one, is what's with Harry Potter? And I'm only deferring to him because while I do love Harry Potter myself, Nick loves it about 1,000,000 times more than me.
So I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and in a lot of our photos you can even see our Harry Potter pictures in the back of our bed, which he actually got me for my birthday, so
yes,
points for him. And I have my tattoo, the Deathly Hallows. It's from the last book. But we will do a whole other YouTube video about Harry Potter because people ask us what's the weirdest thing we own, what Hogwarts houses are we in, and all these other things. So when I was little, growing up in a small hometown where it was weird to be anything different, I was teased for being too feminine and I did gymnastics, but Harry Potter was a way for me to escape to a whole different world, a magical world, characters that taught me so much about life, and I felt like I could be whoever I wanted to be, and I didn't have to worry about being teased by people at school or anywhere.
For me, it's sort of the same thing, just that, you know, it was like an escape. I mean, middle school is never great for anybody, and it can be even worse, especially if you're LGBTQIA+. So I think it was an escape, and you know, I have such fond memories of going to, you know, the movie theaters for like the midnight showings, or you know, when the books come out. So I think it's just something we both really cherish and hold on to, and we bring that sort of into our lives now. So another, you know, just since this is our first video and there's a lot of basic things to get through first about us, one of the questions was, what do we do for work? So I will let Nick start on this.
I'm a nurse anesthetist. A lot of people don't know what that is, but in a nutshell, you have an anesthesiologist who is a doctor trained in anesthesia, and a nurse anesthetist who's trained in anesthesia through the nursing route. And I put people to sleep for all types of surgeries in the operating room.
I actually work for I do health policy, but for a national health organization, specifically focused on transplantation in the United States, actually. So we're both in the health field, just in different, he's clinical, I'm not.
Both medical people.
Yeah.
One of the more serious questions we got was, how has social media affected and changed our relationships?
You know, I think I would like to say that it hasn't affected it that much, but that might be a lie. You know, we as a couple now, we often take into account, you know, the social media aspect of our life. It's something that we realize we kind of fell into and that we really have to work at. And I think we've done a better job at, you know, kind of disconnecting ourselves from social media in our lives. It's a really tough question.
Yeah,
so.
I feel the same way. I feel like at first we were trying to take pictures all the time when our relationship kind of just fell into Instagram. And over time, we just really learned to live in the moment.
Yeah.
One of the bigger questions we got was by somebody named @JazzaJohn on Instagram. So thank you for this loaded question. It has 3 parts, so we're gonna break it down. 1, do we worry about commodifying our relationship? 2, do we feel like we're presenting an edited, unrealistic view of our relationship? 3, do we ever feel the pressure of having our followers invested in the success of our relationship?
So I'll kind of go with the first question here about commodifying our relationship. I think, as many of you know, it's the 21st century and there's influencers and different things like that. We're reached out to pretty often by companies, to work with them and to do, images and things along those lines. And, I think we are very careful about how we present ourselves then, knowing that, we didn't really start off like trying to be influencers. We wanted to sort of show our relationship in a positive light. And we recognize that maybe advertisements can sort of detract from that to a certain extent. Yeah, I mean, do you have anything to add?
Basically, it's exciting that companies want to work with people in the LGBTQIA+ community. And while that is exciting, we know that we can't throw advertisements in people's face all the time. And we don't want that either. We have our jobs, but it is nice to get a little extra money to help with those student loans.
Yeah, we have a lot of student loans.
Grad school is not cheap.
No. So I think probably my favorite question of all was this one about, do we think we're presenting an unrealistic image of ourselves? And that is absolutely true. I think social media in the 21st century is often glossed over.
It kind of ties in with the first question about commodifying our relationship, because if you do work with a company, you're required to post a picture for an advertisement at a certain time by a certain date. And if we just had an argument about something silly that couples argue about, and then a couple hours later we have to take this photo together and be like super happy, it's not always the easiest.
Simply because you can take an image and make it whatever you want. I mean, for example, we could take a photo in the morning and be very mad at each other while we're taking that photo, for example. But when you see the photo, we could be smiling. It seems like we're having the perfect day. That could maybe not be true. Or we take it in the morning and then later in the evening we're fighting. I mean, we're just like every other couple. We're two individuals. We come from very different places. We understand things very differently. And we have to work through those things like everybody else.
And the last part of that question was, do we ever feel the pressure of followers being invested in the success of our relationship? And I would say no. I'm not with Justin because of Instagram. And if Instagram was shut down for some random reason like Vine was, then I would still be with him.
Yeah, and it's like Nick said, it just goes back to that whole thing. We've really had to, pull ourselves out of social media as we've grown, especially in sort of like the social media spotlight, if you will. We have careers, we have friends, we have our relationship, we have our pets, our families, and we definitely don't feel pressured to necessarily keep it going for the sake of Instagram.
To end on a not so serious note, somebody wanted us to do Tales of Maria or the day in the life of Maria, but it's kind of unnecessary because Maria doesn't do a whole lot.
Maria is morbidly obese. She is very fat.
Maria's our cat, by the way. I should add that in case you don't know.
Yeah, she's not a human roommate.
But he fat shames her all the time.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty big. I mean, I think it's because Nick really feeds her too much, I feel like. But...
No, I give her a little bit of food. She just doesn't exercise.
And I think Nick actually has a little surprise.
Yeah, okay. So I did a video, a parody to Look What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift. I transform into somebody completely different. It's just for giggles. It's ridiculous, but you should definitely go and watch it because we're also gonna post it as well. So you should check that out. Don't be afraid to give us any suggestions, tips for improving this. And sorry this had to just be a question and answer, but we had to do something for you guys to get to know us.
All right, guys, so we're gonna do this YouTube thing. Like and subscribe. Do you like on YouTube? I don't even know. But do that whole thing, like, is it here? Is it here? I don't know. But go ahead and do that whole thing, like and subscribe. We're definitely gonna have more videos. There was a ton of more questions. A lot of them were really hard-hitting and really deserve their own video. So just keep your eyes peeled for more as it comes. All right, bye guys.